The NBA offseason is kind of at a standstill as I'm recording this video. The whole Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving situation has kind of put the league at a standstill, even Donovan Mitchell, because teams are trying to get these like amazing players. So not many free agents are being signed, not many role players are being traded. So today I'm going to be naming off 5 winners and 5 losers of the offseason so far. Now this can obviously change as we're still in the middle of the offseason, like we're not even at preseason yet or anything, so there's still a decent amount of players still in free agency. So a winner on here might be a loser after doing something dumb, trading away a good player, or a loser on here might become a winner after doing some crazy trade. So as I'm recording this video, this is what I think it could change in the future, just to keep in mind. In no particular order, I'm going to be naming off these winners first, and then I'm going to go losers. So at first, I have the Mavericks. The Mavericks, I think, have done a pretty good job. They lost Jalen Brunson, obviously, but they have brought in Christian Wood and JaVale McGee for basically nothing. And those two players are actually very, very solid. Christian Wood alongside Luka Doncic would be deadly offensively. I don't know if they're going to be starting McGee because they have Christian Wood who can technically run center. I don't know if he would for them, maybe run the 4. Or they have Dwight Powell. I don't know if they're going to run him at the 5, Christian Wood at the 4, or have McGee start with Christian Wood. And I don't know, I feel like that could be really nice. JaVale McGee has the defensive presence in the paint. Christian Wood has the offensive presence basically anywhere. And alongside Luka, he'll have his moments. He'll have his shots that he'll be wide open because Luka obviously demands double teams and everything. And JaVale McGee can definitely be a nice lob there for Luka Doncic. Second, I have the Boston Celtics, obviously getting Gallinari and Malcolm Brogdon. That is a huge upgrade for what they had before. And Danilo Gallinari is definitely a very efficient scorer they can have come off the bench. Malcolm Brogdon brings a defensive and playmaking presence, and he can, score the ball a little bit, but that's probably not going to be his main, job in the Boston Celtics when you have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown on the team. But as of late, the Celtics have been in trade talks for Kevin Durant, and they might be including Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, Derek White, a few draft picks. So I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I've been kind of on the fence about this trade. I mean, Kevin Durant is obviously an upgrade for Jaylen Brown, but they were 2 games away from the NBA Finals. Do you really want to blow it up? I don't know if that's the right word to say, but Jaylen Brown is literally like the perfect second option you can have on a team. Him and Jason Tatum, homegrown in Boston as a duo, and they were 2 games away from the NBA Finals with this team. They got better getting Gallinari and Brogdon for nothing. So do you really want to, trade away Marcus Smart, who's the Defensive Player of the Year, Jaylen Brown, best second option you can have alongside Jason Tatum arguably, and put in Kevin Durant? That's just, a few quick thoughts on that trade, but as of right now, I do have the Celtics as a winner. Next up, it's the Detroit Pistons. I believe they have had an amazing offseason drafting Jaden Ivey, who miraculously fell to them after the Kings took Keegan Murray. Not saying Keegan Murray is a bad player, but Jaden Ivey, I believe, is the better player. And for him to drop to the Pistons and him alongside Cade Cunningham, Sadiq Bey, and now Jalen Duren, who they got in the Knicks deal, I think. I don't know. That trade was very confusing on draft night. And I believe is one of the best, most elite young cores we see in the NBA as of right now. And I don't know, next couple of years, they're a team to look out for, and I believe they're setting up their future perfectly. And I believe getting rid of Jeremy Grant was a big positive for them, getting rid of his contract, and also getting Cade Cunningham and Jaden Ivey more touches on the ball now that Jeremy Grant isn't, demanding the ball. Rightfully so, he's a good offensive player. But you want the ball in your future's hands in Cade Cunningham and now Jaden Ivey. Next up is the New York Knicks. I believe getting Jalen Brunson and Isaiah Hartenstein have been very good pickups for them. Jalen Brunson obviously showed how good of an offensive threat he is in last year's playoffs. And Isaiah Hartenstein, very underrated big man, I believe. But Jalen Brunson alongside RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, and Mitchell Robinson, if he stays healthy, would be a very, very nice, core of players. And, bringing Isaiah Hartenstein in, very nice off the bench, maybe. I don't know how their rotations would work. But, all these players I think are very good. And getting rid of Kemba Walker's contract, I believe, was a very nice W for them. Lastly, on the winners chart, I have the Atlanta Hawks, obviously getting DeJounte Murray. Looking back at it in a couple of years, this actually could be a loss for the Atlanta Hawks, giving up, what was it, 4 picks, 3 of them first round unprotected picks. That could come back and bite them in the butt, considering DeJounte Murray and Trae Young. They could potentially not work out together, or they could work out together, but the team just in general doesn't. So you never know. But as of right now, of course, adding an all-star in DeJounte Murray alongside Trae Young, that sounds deadly. DeJounte Murray obviously brings the defense, the playmaking. His shooting can be iffy. He has a mid-range shot and he can finish at the rim, but his three-point shot has never been a specialty of his. But Trae Young, on the other hand, that is his specialty. He can shoot from anywhere on the floor. He has a mid-range playmaking. He's an insanely good passer on the lobs. But what he does lack in defense, DeJounte brings, and that's why I think they can be a very nice duo. Another good signing I think that went a little under the radar is Justin Holiday for the Atlanta Hawks. I think he was a very nice pickup. But they did lose Kevin Huerter. I think that kind of hurts. He was a nice shooter for them. But I think the good outweighs the bad in this situation. Transitioning to winners to losers, first up I have the Washington Wizards. I believe Bradley Beal's contract was a huge overpay. He is obviously an elite talent. He averaged 30 points per game a couple years ago, and that deserves a good amount of money. On the other hand, I don't believe Bradley Beal is a franchise, he can win a championship around him type of player. Obviously they have Kristaps there. They have Rui Hachimura, and I believe those are very nice pieces alongside of Bradley Beal. But I think it can get a 6th seed at max. And with the East getting even better and better every season, I'm not sure Bradley Beal is that guy you want to pay this much money. And second thing, they got rid of Ish Smith and KCP, and I believe KCP was a huge loss for them. He averaged, I believe, 13 points per game last year. Very solid role player you can have alongside Bradley Beal, and he brings a little bit of defense on the perimeter as well. Next up, I have the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, we know what's going on with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. That's basically their whole premise of their offseason, just those two players, trying to keep those two players. They have Ben Simmons too, who I'm guessing is trying to rehab and everything, trying to come back. But my biggest issue with them is, for one, they gave up a first-round pick for Royce O'Neal. That was very, very dumb, I believe. They could have gotten him for way less. But they have gotten 0 big men signings. They lost Andre Drummond. They have Nicholas Claxton still. I'm pretty sure they re-signed him for something. I like Nicholas Claxton, but he is no defensive threat. He's no offensive threat. A good lob target for their point guards, but I do believe them signing no big man is not a good sign. Obviously, they have Ben Simmons, who I don't think has ever showed us he's an interior defender, but maybe he can prove us wrong in this coming up season. And they lost Goran Dragic, who was very decent for them in the playoffs. I just believe the biggest holes on their team have not been solved yet. They're kind of just focused on Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, which understandably so, but they kind of just are ignoring everything else. Royce O'Neal, I do believe, is a big pickup for them. He brings perimeter defense and a little bit of shooting, but just wait, first-round pick, he is not worth that. Third on the list, I have the Charlotte Hornets, who have been dealt a bad hand. It wasn't really their fault, but they have lost Miles Bridges, which is unfortunate. Unfortunate for the team. Unfortunate for everyone involved in that situation in general. But the big thing, I believe, is not getting rid of Gordon Hayward's contract yet. I don't think he fits the timeline of what the Hornets are trying to do. They have young players. They're trying to grow those players out. And I believe them signing no big man yet. They got Jalen Duren and traded him, which I believe was pretty dumb. He could have been a nice lob threat for LaMelo. But them having no big man presence, I think they have Montrezl Harrell, who is a very small big man. And Mason Plumlee was the only decent big man they had last year. Is not good enough for them. And I thought they could have gotten Rudy Gobert, but obviously they did not get him. I think they could get possibly like Jakob Poeltl or something from the Spurs. Who knows? But as of right now, they have no big man, and I think that's a big loss for them. Coming in at fourth is the Los Angeles Lakers. Literally, I have them here just because they still have Westbrook. That's basically, I think they've actually had some decent signings. They got Lonnie Walker. They had Thomas Bryant. They had a few other pieces. I think they're still working with Carmelo Anthony to bring him back, but they still have Westbrook. I think they can get rid of him now. Maybe get Buddy Hield, trade him to the Pacers or something like that. But just the fact that they still have him, I don't think is a good thing for them. I think most people in the league know that's not a good thing for them. That's why they're not trading for him. But who knows? Maybe he can be traded. If you're a Lakers fan, you're probably hoping he does get traded by the end of this offseason. This last spot for the losers might be actually a surprise for most people, the Golden State Warriors. I have them here just because they have lost 3 pretty solid players in Gary Payton II, Otto Porter, and JTA. Now these players don't get that much PT coming into the finals or late playoffs. Obviously you're going to get the superstars playing like Curry, Draymond, Clay, Wiggins. All those players are going to be getting the PT. But during the regular season, they were a big part of the team. Otto Porter brought the, stretch big. GP2 brought the perimeter defense that they needed. JTA brought the perimeter defense. I just believe this Warriors core is not getting any younger with Curry, Clay, and Draymond. And GP2 can bring the, young, active defense. Otto Porter is not any young player anyway, but he can bring the shooting still. And JTA can bring nice perimeter defense in the older core group of guys. So that wraps up my winners and losers of this offseason so far. I had 5 winners, 5 losers. If you disagree, put it in the comments down below, or if you agree, put it down in the comments below. So this was recorded hours and hours after the footage you just saw me in, but luckily I didn't have much more to say. If you like the video, like button is right down below. Right next to it is the subscribe button if you want to stick with me, and the notification bell is right there too if you want to be notified as soon as I upload. Hope to see you in the next one, and peace out.